You are listening to a Heartifact Network podcast. Find us at heartifactstudios.com.au.
Welcome back to Australia Mania. It's the only wrestling podcast called... Shut the fuck up. Don't mime along with me. Welcome back to Australia Mania. It's the only wrestling podcast called Australia Mania. I'm your host, Ricki, as always, joined by David Yang.
What up, what up, what up?
Michael is once again absent. Work has taken him away from us again.
He's only physically absent because his mental energy is here. He did finally produce and provide us with a run sheet that we can use.
Yay.
So we have coherent banter. Coherency. All right.
I like coherent banter.
Coherent banter.
Sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but whatever.
It'd make an excellent band name.
Coherent banter?
Coherent banter. Ballad of Banter.
Not
ooh,
bad.
There's the title of your fucking debut album.
Yes.
Yo.
Yes.
Yo, welcome.
Lead single, Bantertown, USA.
Anyway, wrestling news. Did we just jump right in?
Rough. Yeah,
no,
okay.
we saved that for Pint Party, which
Let's
is also a Heartifact Network podcast.
Oh, go check it out on iTunes. Yeah, news. Let's do the news. We've had a week off. We're coming off the fallout of our Eric Bischoff interview, which you can go check out.
Oh my god, true.
Episode 100. We interviewed Eric Bischoff.
Fucking huge.
The interview is standalone on YouTube. You can go check it out there. It's about 17 minutes long. Or if you want to watch the entire or listen to the entire podcast, which includes the interview and then includes me and David Yang here talking shop after the interview about Eric Bischoff and
he is. We've said it before, and I said it in the interview, and I said it right to his damn face. He's one of the best minds in professional wrestling.
He is.
History, hands down.
Yeah. No,
also, definitely check out the interview because you also get to find out something that no other interviewer has ever asked him before.
Yes.
What his favorite sandwich is of all time.
Yes.
And the bread he would use.
Exactly.
I'm not a fan of the bread he would use. Bischoff, if you're listening, we need to talk bread.
But those fillings though.
No, I rate the fillings.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, God.
Beautiful fillings.
Talk about being more American, though.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
yeah, no, it's just, beautiful thing. Anyway, go check that out. But anyway, we're back this week, episode 101, and let's do some news.
Let's do some news. All right, so I'm just going to go off what Michael has here on the run sheet.
Oh, please
right?
do.
I like it. I'm going to read it verbatim almost.
Oh, I'll do that.
So, obviously, this past week on Raw, hopefully everyone's watched it. Otherwise, spoilers. Vince McMahon announced that there is now the wild card rule. Which almost denounces effectively the brand split.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Michael has here, understanding from the reports, is that this has come from the two networks, USA Network and Fox Network, who are disappointed with WWE's ratings as of late. Apparently, they've sunk to an all-time low. I have an article here on Reddit I would like to discuss after the news.
Okay.
All right. And I finally have the actual Reddit user's name and all that.
All right,
I've come prepared. I'm a journalist.
We'll get to it.
I'm a journalist.
Okay.
Ratings for both Raw and SmackDown average close to what Impact Wrestling had during their Hogan Bischoff era. Love how he's not even here, but he's fucking managed to chuck Impact in there somehow.
Yep.
Apparently, Roman Reigns will be making the return to both brands going forward, similar to how John Cena did early in the decade, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's it for that. Going forward, Dean Ambrose. Love a bit of Dean news. As we all know.
John Moxley.
John Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose. So,
FKA.
Well, we now live in a world where I guess he actually did dip. So
yeah, he's gone.
I guess he actually did go.
Guys, it's not a work.
It's not a work.
It's not a work.
Like he properly went.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
God, I fucking respect that. Like I know we talked about it weeks ago on the podcast.
Yeah, good on him.
Is it a work? Is it a shoot? Yada yada. Does it really matter? Because he had a brilliant exit, in my opinion.
He did.
Brilliant, so professionally done.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are reports that John will appear in only 2 companies, depending on where he goes. This is now speculation. Right, Michael. This is not news. This is speculation.
You can throw in a bit of speculation. That's fine.
I do respect a bit of spec.
Yeah.
He speculates, and this is high speculation actually. If you've watched the video,
yes.
He speculates that he will be appearing at AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view on May 25th.
That is
based
the rumor
on the video, which contains visuals of snake eyes and dice.
Also, those dice. It was 2 and 5, and Double or Nothing is on May 25th. Although that is, if people do know, it is the Viper Room in LA. That's just what the dice say. So he could have just been using that space to film, and it's a nice coincidence.
Well, funny you said that, because apparently the video was shot in Vegas. Where he and Renee live, apparently, but it also seems to be where Double or Nothing is.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, yes.
Yeah,
that's all the pieces are falling into place.
And all the pieces are there. Also, further
which
spec.
to me means it's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's working us.
Yeah, I know.
But based on the past couple of months, he actually hasn't been working us. It's all been pretty shit.
Yeah.
So, maybe we're wrong. We just stop being marks for a moment and just see the fucking picture in front of us.
Yeah.
He's going AEW.
Yep.
But on top of that, apparently he's also really good friends with the leader of OVW over in Impact, Sami Callihan, and could potentially be making an appearance there, which I think is really interesting. I
did hear that as well. That is interesting.
That would be fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Think of all the things you can do, Dean. And
do I have to start watching Impact now? I don't want to do that.
There's nothing that can get me to make me watch Impact. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Like Finn Balor could dip the company and go over there as Fergal Devitt, do everything that he's done now with WWE, and it would still be a question of whether or not I want to actually tune in.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, all right. Yeah,
it's just that much of an effort for me.
It is.
Anyway, speaking of AEW, this will be the final piece of news. Cody has confirmed that Double or Nothing will be available on pay-per-view, but he hasn't disclosed how the match, or how to watch it, rather, good one, Michael, or which provider he has made the deal with to show the historic inaugural event in Vegas. Interesting.
Yeah, I
mean, I knew it was going to be. I mean, obviously it was going to be a pay-per-view, surely, right? Like,
yeah.
But it was always going to be a question of, well, how are you going to stream it? Where are you going to stream it? What network's going to support you?
I'm pretty sure that All In was
Fight
TV.
Fight TV, I'm pretty sure.
Who do all of Ring of Honor's stuff.
And it was on New Japan.
Only in
after.
rebroadcast. It took like 5 days.
Oh, really?
Because I was like on the New Japan feed refreshing it after the event had finished, and I got nothing.
But like they still managed to go on New Japan. I'm not saying probably New Japan jumps on this one.
No.
No, but also fucking good one, Michael. Piece of fucking news that we've missed completely.
Has he not put in the
Chris Jericho has been making some goddamn waves this fucking past week.
Dominion main event
versus Okada. It's the Rainmaker versus the Painmaker. You see that promo?
I'm not a fan of that gimmick.
Oh, dude, the man can do anything at this fucking point.
He does seem to be just adapting his nicknames depending on whoever he's facing.
Yeah, but
because he was obviously he was the Alpha to Jericho's Omega. Now he's the Painmaker to the Rainmaker. He's still got that weird goth Clockwork Orange gimmick going on, which I'm not the biggest fan of.
I'm not a fan of it, but I respect creativity when I see it. You know,
it's fine.
Like we're creatives, right?
Yeah, I know.
Real respect, right?
Yeah, and he's still managing to reinvent himself. The dude has too many nicknames already. Can he just not have another one?
But I think the interesting thing to come out of this whole Jericho news from the past week is that he has actually quite a few dates left for New Japan, apparently, and he's added more. So, which you lead to believe if Jericho's working with, obviously he's signed to AEW, right? And I guess it's obviously not an exclusive contract. Whether or not AEW has done exclusive deals, I don't actually know. I think some of the lower rung.
I think their exclusive deals are going to be different to what we perceive an exclusive deal to be with WWE.
Oh no, agreed. But I think there's still exclusivity against, so they can't work for WWE.
Well, obviously,
right? Is what we get. They will be able to pick companies and be like, no, don't work with them. But they're not going to be as exclusive to WWE. Where it's just like, no, just work with us.
Yeah,
because it seems like they're going to have working relationships with at least World Series Wrestling. Right, the Phoenix and Pentagon are coming down here in June.
Phoenix and Penta haven't signed exclusive deals because they're still working AAA.
No, but that's true. But what I'm getting at is that they've signed AEW, right?
Yeah. They have signed AEW in a sense. They're also still working their Impact dates at the moment as well.
Yeah.
So they're kind of all over the place. Whether they're...
Well, it's also when does this contract kick in? Obviously, it hasn't kicked in yet, right?
Yeah.
Does it kick in May 25th? Who knows, right? That's probably just their pay-per-view.
I mean, it can't be that exclusive because, this weekend in Knoxville, I want to say, somewhere, Jericho and Omega turned up at an indie show.
Yeah.
I think last week or the week before that, the Bucks and Cody rocked up at an indie show somewhere.
Yeah. But let's be fair though. Those Jericho, Omega, Bucks, Cody, they run the company. They can decide what the fuck they would have.
Kind of do whatever they feel.
My name might be written on an exclusive contract, but the contract belongs to the company that I own.
Yeah. That's fair. And Park's still doing dates outside of them. He's still everywhere at the moment doing indie dates. You see, I saw a GIF on Twitter this week. Top rope brainbuster.
Oh, the dude can fucking do anything, dude.
Insane.
Fucking do
insane.
anything. God.
Gotta love Puck.
Have they signed Ospreay? No
No.
one's signing
Ospreay is that guy.
Yeah, we've discussed this. Yeah.
Until he signs the WWE, and I think he will eventually.
Yeah, they all do.
He's going to be the guy that is just going to continually bounce around wherever he wants to go. He's never going to be locked down to any one place for too long. He obviously has a working relationship with Ring of Honor, with New Japan, with Rev Pro.
Yeah, he's got a good UK one going.
Yeah.
Evolve? No, not Evolve.
He used to be with Evolve,
Yeah.
but now he's not. He's with Rev Pro. So he's all over the shop.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the way he likes doing things.
Yeah. And he's a young bloke, man.
He wants to
no
keep
one's
adding,
rushing him.
He wants to keep adding flags to his little wrestling belt.
Yeah, fucking
his little
respect
wrestling
it.
tights, man.
Fucking respect it.
And he keeps saying he's always going to come back to Australia, and he always does. Like, whenever he pops up, he does all that he can here in Australia. And it's always good seeing Will
God,
Ospreay.
Australian wrestling is fun. But we'll touch on that at the end of the podcast.
Yes.
Michael has a specific section just for local news.
Well, of course.
But that is it for breaking news this week.
Yeah.
Unless you have any, because Michael obviously seems to have missed quite a bit.
Just
that Jericho news is nuts.
aside from the New Japan stuff, they've just released the blocks for.
Oh yeah, he's got
Best Super. Okay, we'll get to that.
Don't jump ahead.
We'll get to that in a bit. That's fine.
We're following the.
I'm just
run sheet.
excited that the blocks are now announced because
I
we got an
respect
idea
the excitement. You're a New Japan.
We got an idea of who's fighting who, and it's oh my god, it's exciting.
Good moment.
Anyway,
Well, following the run sheet.
Yeah,
let's go into WWE.
Hot
topic this past week. All right. I actually don't want to break down the show. Actually, I want to talk about this Monday.
Okay.
All right? I want to talk about this Monday.
Please do.
The IWC is going nuts on this one. If you haven't seen, they are going nuts.
What's going on now?
Worst Raw of all time is what's being thrown out there.
It's a bit harsh.
I agree. I think it is a bit harsh.
When you have a WrestleMania rematch, bloody Daniel Bryan v Kofi, that was a good match.
Yeah.
That was a really good match.
Yep. I love the Firefly Funhouse stuff. I'm really into that.
I am really worried they're going to just can that out of nowhere with no explanation.
I know. But right now, though, it's
great.
Dude, it's getting social media attention.
It is.
Like, genuine posts being like, have you caught up with Firefly Funhouse?
Yeah,
It on... Fucking brain fart. I'm so sorry. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it has.
The stuff they upload to YouTube pulls in consistently high views. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was a stat from last week when they did the second episode of the Firefly Funhouse. It was like the fourth most for that week from WWE.
Yeah.
Right. And they put a lot of content on YouTube. Right. It was like 2.9 million within the first 72 hours or something like that. It was nuts.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Obviously, you just said the WrestleMania rematches we had. They were good matches.
Yeah.
So I'm, and amongst all that, people are finding something wrong with it. And they're saying literally it's the worst. Because I guess they pay a lot of attention to how the Revival was booked.
Yeah, there's plenty to look at and go, okay, this sucks. Especially the Revival stuff. I'm scratching my head as to what they are doing with them right now. Because I know that they've turned down these huge deals. It was $500,000 each a year for I think a 5 to 6 year contract. And they've said no. And then the week after they've said no, you got the back shaving spot. And then this week it was the Tiger Balm in the tights deal. I just don't get it, man.
Yeah.
You have probably the two best tag teams in WWE right now, the Usos and Revival, and you are reducing them down to comedy skits.
To comedy acts.
These two should be in the ring tearing the shit up.
Yep.
Just putting on fucking insane matches. And you've got them doing this. I mean, right now, you know what's the reason the tag division is hamstrung right now is because of who has the belts.
Yeah.
I didn't like it going into WrestleMania. I didn't like it coming out of WrestleMania. I still don't like it. I still don't like.
I'm not against it. But I'm against it in the sense that we know what it is. Don't pretend like they're trying to book it as something that it isn't what it is.
Yeah, I know.
Right. But we know what it is. They won these belts as a feel good moment. Kurt Hawkins broke his lost streak. Right.
Yeah.
We got the payoff.
Yeah.
They should have realistically have dropped. It's hard though. We're sitting here and we're saying, okay, we know what it is, right? So they should have dropped it the following night, right? Or at the very least, they should be made to look stupid and then get squashed by a really legitimate one, because the payoff really was them getting their Mania moment. But at the same time, it's unfair to those two wrestlers because they can genuinely wrestle.
They can,
right?
But
it's just that the way you book them, the way it's come about with the talent that you have in the lineup, like waiting for these opportunities, and why you're burying them makes no sense. But now you've got these guys, the Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, running with the Raw tag belts, and you're extending what we already know to be inevitable.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. At this point, it seems like it's going to be dragged out to Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Right. And then the inevitable happens. Right.
The minute War Raiders got brought up, it was like, well, they're probably the next team to hold the belts.
Yeah.
Especially with them being brought up as heels.
They got brought up as heels, and then they dropped their NXT ones. Which that decision makes no sense to me as well.
Yeah, because
they literally had the opportunity the night before. WrestleMania, or 2 nights before WrestleMania, where they did the fucking Dusty Classic and the culmination of that. You could have take the belts off them.
Yeah, no, but it was Aleister Black and Ricochet.
Yeah, but
so that would have been equally as true. But then I think there was a match on NXT like 2 or 3 weeks after Takeover that I think was War Raiders versus Undisputed Era for the straps.
And they won.
I think.
No, actually, I don't know.
I can't remember, but there was something like that. And then, but I think that they had a championship match. I think it was like broadcast the same week as them debuting, and they didn't drop them. I'm like, well, there's your opportunity to drop the straps right there.
Instead, they just vacated them.
They just, Well, I think that.
Well, this actually perfectly leads into.
It keeps them looking strong because you put them now.
Does.
You put them now in the same echelon as like Paige, Oscar, and now War Raiders.
Yeah.
People have had to drop the belt because they've come up to main roster. It's fair enough. But at the same time, they really feel like 2 different teams.
Yeah.
Who we had in NXT and who we have now in WWE already feels so complete, mostly because of the name fuck up. That really annoyed. Like, Because
they're stuck now with Viking Raiders.
Viking Raiders.
Yeah, which is good. I'm okay with
that's fine. That's a fine name. Viking Experience. I'm glad they got rid of that.
Yeah. Oh, it did not take them long. Did not take them long. They debuted it on Monday, and then I'm pretty sure by that fucking Wednesday,
they were like,
no,
wasn't long before all the official Twitter accounts and that got flipped over. Which good, thank God.
But this is perfect because it brings me into the main point I think we should talk about when it comes to Raw and SmackDown this week. I have a graph in front of me of the Raw viewership broken down month by month for the past 4 years.
Okay.
Right? So, so what we saw, we'll start with 2016, consistent 3.6.
Yeah.
3.6 million, right? And for the sake of this, we're going to look at it from January to July, right? So in the time frame that we are now.
Okay, yep.
So we're talking Rumble, peak of the Rumble, Mania, peaks, Raw after Mania, probably the highest views you'll probably get all year, understandably, and then there's obviously a natural drop-off.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's always been. Right, so it's unfair when people look at this and they go yada yada yada. Oh, worst real viewership. Ratings are down. The key word being down. It's like no shit, they're down. WWE knows ratings go down at this time of year.
Yep.
Right, but what they don't expect is how badly they are actually standing comparatively to where they are in the past couple of years.
Yeah. Right.
So 2016 was a good year, right, and it followed the arc. Followed the arc perfectly.
Yep.
Maintained 3.6 all the way through May, went down to about 3.4, sluggish, and then come middle of the year, went right back up 3.5. Right? Wasn't too bad.
Because you got that build to SummerSlam, and that year I think Brock was the champion.
Yeah. Was that also brand split?
Yes.
Or was that
yes, it was. That was leading into brand split.
And this is going to be how I'm going to conclude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hype.
That brand split did so well for not just WWE, but the industry. Actually, a lot of people got watching.
Think about who was in the spotlight during that period. So it would have been
AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Seth, and Roman were the pole bearers.
They were.
They're both their brands respectively.
Well, I mean, even before the brand split, they were the big four.
Oh, and they were still the big four. But they made the right decision in literally going, all right, we know what the 4 are.
Yeah, and that's when we had.
Right. It wasn't just all 4 of them on Raw, and then we start SmackDown with jobbers. Like, no.
Yeah, that was the Money in the Bank where Seth beat Roman only to drop it to Dean in the cash in.
Yeah,
and that was like hype as hell.
And then we had then the rematch
right before the brand split was Battleground, and we finally got the triple threat match.
Yeah,
and then it was
then the brand split.
Then the brand split leading into SummerSlam. That was that would have had everyone came. What was Brock doing then? If Brock didn't have the belt.
I think he was actually away at that time. This was in the point where he had beaten Taker.
Who did he drop it? So he would have dropped it to. No, he wouldn't have dropped it because it would have been before the Universal title was even a thing.
Yeah.
So they were running one belt. Oh, that's right. It was after Roman beat Triple H.
But I'm pretty sure Brock dropped it to Cena. No.
No.
Am I an idiot?
No, you're going back too.
I'm going back too far?
Is that must have been...
Because
yeah,
what
so
we're getting at is when did Brock win the Universal, right?
Yeah. So that
it was at not Mania.
No, it wasn't until like... It was Mania the year after.
Yeah.
So
it was Mania 17 he won.
So there's only one belt at the time.
Well, they introduced the Universal belt at SummerSlam.
Yeah, Seth dropped it.
And then KO held it for a long bit, right?
No, that was the Universal. I'm talking WWE Championship.
Oh, WWE title.
Because at this point in history, we only have one belt.
Oh, so Roman held it going into before the brand split, then Seth, then Dean.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the fuck was Brock doing?
I don't know if Roman beat Brock. Brock was away at that time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I actually don't know. Brock's not the point.
Who did Brock fight that year?
I can't fucking remember.
SummerSlam,
Randy.
No. That was
2016?
No, that was 2015.
Oh, who the fuck did he fight at 16?
Oh,
this is beside the point.
I honestly don't. But I'm just trying to like put the players in place to be like, okay, this is who we had to play with.
Oh, Brock was never going to be a player in place when we come to brand split.
Yeah, but like leading.
Actually, you know what? I think he was actually drafted the Raw.
He was drafted like second or third.
But Finn was first, which I still think is one of the best decisions.
Yeah,
first pick for Raw.
Backfire.
Look, had he not gotten injured?
I know.
Shoot,
it would be a very different landscape.
Very different landscape of the WWE.
Unless he still
Kevin Owens, I doubt would be in the position he's in.
Unless he still would have dropped it to Goldberg, which would have made me sad.
No, because I think the Goldberg thing was inevitable, right? So I think he would have had to have dropped it to Goldberg. I think he would have dropped it differently. They would have had a better plan going ahead. Because I think the Goldberg thing was still very last minute. Pretty sure he just called politics backstage when he returned. He's just like, give me the belt.
He doesn't seem like a politicking guy.
Yeah, but politic for the sake of politic. Because Paul would have been in his ear and Paul would have been like, all right, Goldberg, you pick it up. And then Brock will pick it up from you at Mania. And then he's like, you know what? Makes sense. Makes sense.
I guess so.
But anyway, beside the point, what I'm getting at here is 2016, 2017, very good years. Because one, it was the brand split, and then two, it was following on from it, right?
Yes.
The repercussion, and we had peak Brock. I argue peak Brock brings in views, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're looking at this, and we're going, all right, June, July, so the August era of 2017, highest ratings have been in a while.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So that's
3.7-ish.
That's SummerSlam / post SummerSlam.
That's SummerSlam 2017, right?
It's WrestleMania 2.0.
At that point, we're looking at Brock and Goldberg being big players there.
Yep.
At that era for 2017. 2017 was the highest it's been. Since then, right, now let's look at where we are today, right? We're sitting in what? May, right? Yep. Just finished April. We have the April stat here. Highest of April, 2.5 million.
And I'm going to assume that was right after
last year. Yeah, this is right after Mania.
Yeah.
Right? Last year, actually, you know what? Consistently for the last 3 years before that, 3.6. So it's 1 million less in the span of a year.
It's a big drop.
It's 1 million less in the span of a year. Now, this is what I was talking about at the start of the show. I have a Reddit article here that I want to actually really put over.
Okay.
Because I think it's very well written, and it actually brings up a very good point.
Okay.
Right? So, Reddit user Confliction, spelt with a K, respect to you, shout out to you, brother. All right.
To me, that is just every fucking gamer tag in 2006 on fucking
I love
Xbox
it.
Live, man.
I fucking love it.
It's just missing like X Confliction X.
Because _ 69 dot. MSN.
I had
Noob Master.
I had a trash Xbox gamer tag in 2006.
Dude, mine was like, no, I'm going way back. MSN. I'm talking like you did that dot X uppercase X lowercase X _ your name at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you do brackets, love heart if you're dating a girl, her name.
Yep.
Close brackets. And then mimic what you started with in reverse.
Yeah. Or my best one, for some reason at some point, like my MSN circle of people, it was every second letter was capitalized.
Yeah. Did you also do but you capitalize every second letter except the I. The I would always be lowercase and it would always be 2 I's.
I had no I's in my my username, any of my usernames.
Interesting.
Because I always use my last name because like my online tag is El Nidzo.
Yeah, good.
So
moment,
no I's. So like mine was just like it was capital E, lowercase L, capital N, lowercase E, capital E, like just ridiculous shit like that. But then my Xbox gamer tag was like XX El Nidzo XX, and then finally in like 2012 I changed it.
Oh wow!
I just got rid of
it. Late.
I just got rid of the well because that's when they brought in the fact you could like pay like I think it's like $6 or like 600 Microsoft points or whatever to actually change your game tag because you were locked into that.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Anyway, it took industry a long time to get rid. Anyway,
just something as simple as changing a gamer tag. But confliction is a good gamer tag.
It's a great, and it's also just a great Reddit tag.
It is a great
I feel
Reddit
like
tag.
nowadays a Reddit tag is really like it takes on from that MSN early Xbox gamer tag creativity days, and now expands upon it, and it's made it more normal.
My Reddit shit, it's El Nido.
I'm pretty sure mine's just like Yankong. Anyway. So, confliction here is actually, I really rate this article here. And if anyone's listening, go have a look at it. It's on.
When you say article, is it like something he's just written? Or
it's something he's written.
Okay, right.
I'm not saying it's an academic
it's a post.
source. Right, it's a post then.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right. Front page of Squared Circle. Love the IWC, personally. I am
fair.
Finger on the pulse.
If you get front page of Squared Circle, that's pretty good.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Right? But he has made the claim that when we talk about the ratings of today, we need to understand where it stemmed from. And it's not just stemming from 2016. It actually dates back far more.
There is a lot of factors.
Yeah.
I think I know where he's going to go with this, and I'll wait for you to...
Well, he's claiming that it's now the booking habits of where we were in 2010, 2011 that is finally coming back to haunt them.
Okay.
Right? So the I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'll dot point the main stuff, but so the post here discusses the fact that in 2010, 2011, we obviously had the introduction of Nexus. We had a lot of the guys that we know now today who are mid-carders who were getting called up either from NXT or coming in from their developmental territories.
Yeah.
Right? So we had guys like Cesaro. We had guys like Zack Ryder even at that point as well, right? Rusev. We had the Dolph Ziggler's, right? New Age Outlaws. All these kinds of like talents that we know, right? But he's claiming that for the short-term benefit of what we saw then is now actually not paying off. Because what we are missing, and it does follow akin to what I think WWE has even mentioned themselves going, the reason why ratings are low is because we don't have stars, right? They don't have stars.
Whose fault is that?
And whose fault's that?
Yeah.
And that's what the base of this article is. You don't have stars because what you did in 2010 is where you are now. For short-term benefit, you've sacrificed long-term gain.
Honestly,
you've had guys like Wade Barrett.
You look at that era. The one guy, and I'm saying this, the one guy who could have come out of that era and now been someone who is that next level of wrestler or like superstar, it's Punk.
It's Punk.
He's the only guy.
And
even
argue that
even Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
in
Daniel Bryan
in 2013. Yeah, that was hot. But the lead up to and the fallout from Money in the Bank 2011 is the most relevant wrestling has been in the 2000s.
Yeah,
except for I think in the early 2000s, the start of the Rock crossover into Hollywood. But for mainstream appeal, it was Punk. He was the one that put him back on ESPN because no one was talking about him. No one was talking about wrestling because there was nothing to talk about because it was the same shit every fucking week.
That Summer of Punk was actually insane.
And then Punk, he changed people's perceptions.
He did.
And all of a sudden, you've got, wrestlers going on ESPN talking about it in a legitimate enough way or a legitimate enough platform that it started to get traction again. And you're still seeing that today because ESPN understands that a portion of their audience are not only sports fans but sports entertainment fans. So they have, like in the lead up to WrestleMania, you have Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte.
Yeah,
on ESPN.
There's a lot more collaborative effort now between WWE and ESPN.
Yes,
because like Charlie Caruso works there.
Yeah, and they bought Coach across for a little bit too. He was working for both.
There seems to be a working relationship, which is good. But obviously, could be.
But like at that time. And this, I like that this guy's he's pointed out that 2010 to 11 period, there was like a certain
that
switch.
Was the point where we look at the stars we have today.
Yep.
And you go back and go, all right, where were they then?
Yep.
On the cusp of if you were to do a couple of things differently, you wouldn't have a superstar problem, right? Because they would have, and like I'm not saying WWE didn't factor it in, but it just seems like they haven't factored in the fact that Cena wasn't going to be around now. Right?
Yeah,
I feel like they might have thought, hey, we might get a bit more out of Cena.
He was the only guy, and like at that point, 2010-11
was where you should have used Cena to start building stars.
Yeah, but they kind of did with Punk, and then they just stumbled and went back into their old habits of putting the belt back on Cena.
Yeah.
Or for some reason, inexplicably, putting the belt on fucking Alberto Del Rio, which I've made my feelings about him clear in the past. Terrible main eventer. Should never have been in the title.
Fair enough, but he is an example of someone like look at it like just in a vacuum of that, right?
Yep.
The idea of strapping it to Alberto Del Rio. The idea of strapping it to Alberto Del Rio is to create a star.
Yeah.
Right. Whether or not it achieved it, fair enough. It's, one opinion either way. I'm more in your camp as well. I believe he wasn't actually. He was a draw for the Mexican scene, but he just didn't resonate enough to just. And it's Jinder as well, right? Jinder, you make. I'm not saying when they strapped it to Jinder, they're thinking we're going to make a star here. It was actually more akin to just, all right, we know a market's there, so we're going to do it.
We're going to start selling the network in India.
Yeah, but I think when it came to Alberto Del Rio. It was both. It was the idea of, all right, we know he's got a huge following within the Mexican scene, but at the same time, he's charismatic enough, and he's got a look about him, and he's kind of young. We can actually kind of make a star here. That failed, right? A little bit. That failed a little bit, right? But he shouldn't be the poster boy for let's no longer try. Right?
No, yeah.
You've
got to keep trying.
Yeah, and that's what we get. And that just seems like what they looked at there and just went, all right, we're not going to make stars. The ones we have now, they can last the next 5 years, right?
Unless they all leave.
And obviously the counter, and that comes back to what I was just about to say. On the inverse, it's not like we don't have stars today, right?
We got stars, not
right?
superstars.
It's just that we're now at a point where I think. Just like in our own head narratives, we kind of expect a new one to be introduced, right? Like, and it was either 2010, 2011.
They tried.
2016.
Finn Balor. They put...
And honestly, I made my opinions on this very clear.
Fucking eggs in the Finn Balor basket.
It's not his fault.
I know it's not, but it feels
But it seems like they're blaming him.
It feels like they're punishing him because he came back and it took him, 3 years to get his fucking rematch?
Oh, it actually hurts.
For the belt he never lost?
It hurts, dude.
No, I know.
It hurts. Because you're right. You're 100% right, actually. Finn Balor was the last attempt WWE has made at creating a superstar.
They put all their chips on the demon.
Honestly, but it worked. It worked, right? And their plan would have worked. It's just so unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then it comes back to this, right? Now they've looked at that as the poster child of let's not try again. Which is wrong.
When did he re-debut?
It was a good year afterwards.
Did they make a big deal?
No, because he was meant to. When did he went down after SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Talk was that he was meant to do Mania. SummerSlam.
He never made it though.
He never made it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't that much longer after Mania.
Was it the Raw after Mania, or was it like later than that?
I can't actually remember.
All right. Because they could have built that up. I don't remember a build for his return. I know sometimes you want it to be a surprise, but sometimes there is value in
because if we are going to go with your logic,
vignettes teasing, just giving people not flat out saying, "Hey, Finn Balor's coming back," but just using imagery and stuff to get people thinking man, I think this is Finn. I think this is who they're building up. It's going to be Finn. He's going to come back.
Yeah,
they could have maybe tweaked his character a little bit at the same time, and done something that made people super excited. So when he came back, and honestly should have got his rematch night fucking one. I think Brock had the belt at the time.
Brock had the belt. So they were always going to be shoehorned.
Brock was off doing Brock.
Yeah. That's the only thing I blame Brock for. Honestly, good decision giving him the belt. I think objectively it was really good.
Sometimes,
right? And the run he had, it made sense for what had happened with it.
Yeah.
Subsequently, he did actually put over talent when he, so when he dropped to Roman.
Eventually.
Put over there, right?
Eventually.
Oh, yeah, but that was all a part of it.
Took a year and a bit.
Yeah.
But sure.
Oh, fuck. Now I'm worked just thinking about Finn because you're so fucking right. That was the last time they tried to build a star, and now they haven't done it since.
They've accidentally stumbled into it with Becky.
Yeah. But even then, honestly, it's losing a bit of its steam.
It has. It has. It was losing steam during the Mania build, and that should not be when you are losing steam.
You shouldn't be losing it.
But they made it convoluted. They made it too fucking they made it too just this story beats happening. This story beats happening. Just stick to it. Should have been Becky v Ronda. Let's face it. They shoved in Charlotte because it's Charlotte Flair. I will let it go for the most part, but when the story pretty much writes itself, you have to do little to no legwork to just keep that Ronda-Becky feud happening. Let it play out on Twitter. Most people now, or most people that are going to watch WrestleMania, are aware of Twitter, are aware of wrestlers on Twitter, and are probably going to seek it out. And in the worst case scenario, they're not going to seek it out. They're probably some part of some meme page on Facebook that puts up wrestling memes. I'm part of like 4 of them. And I got half the story just through people like putting compilations of all the Twitter exchanges in one big picture, and you can sort of read through. Like, there is nothing WWE really had to do with that feud except interfere and make it more convoluted, which is exactly what they did. And now she's going up against Lacey Evans and Charlotte in the one night,
which I like.
I like it as well, but at the same time,
I think Becky is actually rather safe. When we think about like the current crop of stars, Becky is solidified. So
it's going to be
drop the belt,
real hard and take some real dumb booking to get the crowd not on her side anymore.
You have to.
But if one company can do it, I got faith in WWE to fuck it up. I really do. Which I hate saying, but my God, they just. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Well, so Conflictor's got actually a couple of dot points that are really notable. Guys at the time, how they what subsequently happened to them there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got the aftermath where they are now, but we know the picture as is, right?
Yeah.
So he's got, obviously, Nexus loses their debut match.
Yeah.
Right? And we know what happens when it comes against Cena later that year, right? Zack Ryder at the time. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And he built it himself.
And he literally built it himself, right? He got over with his YouTube channel, but then all of a sudden he's thrown off the stage by Kane, and John Cena buries him by hooking up with Eve Torres. Why? Right? Now, that's not saying, and even Conflictor mentions it, it's not to say that Zack Ryder was going to be the star, right? But it's the idea of like, it could have been a star in some regard, right? Because you looked at it then, it's like, this guy's fucking hot.
He's the kind of guy, like, and you want to look back at like the Attitude Era where, like, you know, wrestling was at its most popular. He's that perfect mid-card guy who easily, any day of the week, could have gone up and challenged for the belt, and it would not have been a surprise.
Yeah, he could have.
He could have been.
Belt.
No. I'm talking like big belt. Like, okay, you look at Jericho. That lead up to when he wins both belts on the same night. He's not a guy walking into that pay-per-view that anyone would have thought walked out with both belts.
Yeah.
He was a solid mid-card guy. He feuded with the upper-card guys when they weren't looking at the belt. He was in that conversation, but he was just below where everyone thought he should have fit.
He was a guy who inserted himself into the main event.
Exactly.
But we never just intuitively looked at him and went, star.
Main event guy.
Right.
Exactly.
So, but when you think star, there really isn't that many in the history of like the WWE. Rock, Stone Cold, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, like Shawn Michaels, Triple H.
Yeah.
This is the history of WWE right now.
Taker.
Yeah. That's 9.
Yeah.
There's been thousands.
60 years of
thousands
WWE wrestling.
Right? So we're not sitting here, it's unfair to look at WWE and go, create another Rock, right? They can't do that.
No.
Right? You can't do that.
You need The Rock.
But can you create another Seth? Yes.
You fucking tomorrow.
Yeah, you can.
You just push a guy
you can
to
create
the top.
another Seth.
You take a guy who is athletic and you push him.
Seth might end up being in that echelon of people when it's all said and done. In the same regard that Roman will probably end up in that echelon when it's all said and done.
I really hope Seth gets there.
Oh, so do I, right? But right now where Seth is, we look at him and you go, intuitively, he's a main event guy.
He is.
Right? You look at him any day of the week, falls right into it. AJ Styles too.
Yep.
AJ, Roman, Seth, right?
Yep.
Are there right now. Unfortunate for Kofi, right? And we'll get into Kofi in a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's what we're looking at, right? These, aside from AJ, Seth and Roman were built, right? What's to say you can't do that again, right? We're not looking at them going, create another Rock, create another Stone Cold. You can't do that, right? Those are generational guys. They're not asking to be made generational guys, but just have a consistent crop of about 7 people who aren't just at the cusp of reaching in and looking through the window of main event, but are genuinely there, right?
Yeah.
That are genuinely there. That intuitively we look at them and go, fuck yeah, you're a big time.
Yeah.
Right? You're big time. And there are guys today that are like that. We have the Drew McIntyres. We have the Baron Corbins. Say what you want, but the resume of Baron Corbin low-key kind of speaks for a guy who can assert himself in main event status. Retired, a great in Kurt Angle. Money in the Bank winner. Didn't successfully cash in, fair enough.
They
Right? He's a guy who's there. All you need is just to give him just some kind of story that's just better than fucking being a dick.
Do you think it's that, or do you just think they are bereft of heels right now?
As in there's too many?
No.
There's too many of the same heel.
There's too little.
No.
I mean, look at Raw. Drew, Baron, Bobby. And I guess Robert Roode.
Yep. Samoa Joe.
True, I did forget about Samoa Joe. I thought he was still on SmackDown. I was just talking about Raw.
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that's an interesting little thing he's doing.
Yeah. But that's what I'm getting at, is like Sami Zayn is the only heel on Raw that's different than the other heels.
He is.
All the other heels are the same heel.
Because they're just...
What's their story? Tell me. You can't.
They just assholes.
They're just pissed, right?
Yeah.
They're the Baron Corbin heel, where it's just, I'm just going to be a dick, right? But
he does love being a dick.
Just separate them, right? It's not...
I know.
And, granted, when we don't work in the wrestling industry, we don't know how these things work, right? We're just a couple of marks, right? But we like to believe we know, right? Just separate. Give them a bit more story.
I think...
There is flesh out Baron Corbin to me, and he could very easily tomorrow be one of the best, if not already, in my opinion, one of the best heels in the company. But he would have more, public support for being, I hate that guy, right?
Sorry, pardon me. It's you want hate instead of apathy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I feel when I see Baron Corbin on my screen. Is just again, same with Bobby Lashley, Drew. I like Drew because he looks legit.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin still wears his fucking waistcoat
and to
the ring.
Yeah, but to me, Drew has story to him.
He does.
Right? Because he's
been here before.
He's been here before.
He left and he got better.
Yeah.
Real better. A lot better.
So you're looking at it and you're going, you have a story and I can understand your psychology for the things that you've done.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the importance of Drew.
You
left. Well, I understand why you left. And then you come back bigger and you're sitting there going, all right, piece them together. Why have you gotten bigger? Because I want to fucking succeed in this industry.
His story is so simple. He came in, got given the fucking red carpet treatment. You are the chosen one.
Yep.
And then failed to deliver on his own hype, left the company, went away, became the guy he was always supposed to be, came back to WWE only to find the whole place had changed in the time he's been gone.
If WWE would,
and now he's fighting and clawing and doing everything he can to stand out again and be no. 10 years ago, I was the guy. I wasn't him then, but I am the guy you wanted now. Push me to the fucking moon. And that honestly should be his psychology.
That should be, but that is the psychology.
It is, but I think they need to make it the forefront. They need
to talk
because
about it.
Right now,
commentary needs to literally sit there and say it.
He comes out and all he does is be like, "I'm gonna claymore you in the head. I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." No. That's what he will do. But who he is as a character should be the guy with the biggest possible chip on his shoulder, and want to come out and prove, especially to Vince, that he is the guy that Vince thought he was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That should be his character.
The important thing you just said
and you
there,
can push that as a heel or a face. It works both ways.
When it comes to this kind of storytelling, especially when it pertains with the underlying psychology of it all.
Yeah.
Like I was watching something the other day where they talked about what makes leaders great.
Yeah.
Right. What makes the leaders that we've known throughout history to be different? What makes companies like Apple stand out amongst other ones that just make phones? Right. They're not talking about what they do. They talk about why they do it first.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's the key thing. Right?
It's the cult of personality thing that
Yeah.
And that's what made
everyone in the WWE and everyone in that industry, what do? They wrestle. No shit.
Yeah.
Right? No fucking
why do
no
they wrestle?
fucking shit you wrestle.
Why?
But why?
Exactly.
Start with the why, because everyone knows what you do.
Yeah.
Right? No one wants to hear you talk about what you're going to do. But they want to know why you're about to do it.
It's kind of the issue these days.
And that is
as much as like I listen to a bunch of other wrestling podcasts, and a lot of them have the same thing to say, which is that right now, from a talent perspective, WWE is the best it's ever been. From a week-to-week standpoint, matches on TV, matches on pay-per-view are far better than they were 10, 20 years ago. But people aren't connecting with it as much as they were. It's starting to come around with the indie scene, but that's a lot of it, once again, comes back to that athletic standpoint. These people are doing shit that we wouldn't have dreamed of 15 years ago. Yep. Like, no one was doing top rope Spanish flies. No one was doing, that handspring over the top rope thing that Ricochet does, which is, I can't even understand how that man does that.
Whilst that's nuts, but are they going to get that same pop that Mick Foley got when he won that fucking world title on Raw?
Exactly.
No.
Are they going to get, no one has that reaction when something as simple as glass.
Mick Foley ain't the fucking.
As glass shattering.
Yeah.
Every time the glass shatters, people lose their fucking minds. But people understood why Stone Cold did what he did. All he needed was one fucking promo, and that was the 316 promo. That's it. You knew exactly who he was. And that is the problem these days, is you have a bunch of people who are fucking athletic as hell, who are so talented between the ropes. But they just, you don't connect with them as a character. You connect with them as a person. Like, I love Seth Rollins, and I enjoy watching him in the ring. Yep. I also enjoy watching him on Up, Up, Down, Down when he's Kobe, whatever the fuck his last name is. Because he seems like a really cool guy who is into the same shit I'm into. He likes video games. He likes pop culture.
Yep.
Like, you know, same with like someone like Johnny Gargano. But Johnny, I understand why he wrestles. And that's why I think the thing with him and Tommaso Ciampa was so fucking impactful, is because I understand that. Seth, I get it. From a pretty broad standpoint, he's a guy who busted his ass in the indies, who fell in love with this industry when he was a kid, and he's worked his way up to this point. But why do you keep going? You've already won the belt. You've done everything pretty much it is possible to do. You've main evented. I suppose he was in the main event of WrestleMania 31. So he's done a lot of the shit that like a lot of people who come through this industry will never ever do. Why is he still doing it? That's the thing. It's like, why you've reached the top of the mountain. Now what do you do? And why are you still doing it? That's the disconnect I find with Seth, is that he's a really good hand. People connect with him. I connect with him. But
you've got the what's and how, but where's the why?
Why are you still doing this? And that's the thing. That's the connection that everyone will always have with Stone Cold, because everyone can relate to who he is.
We just finished talking about it with regards to Drew. The idea being that all he needs is that why, and it's right there. I think
push that in his promos.
I think if we had to be fair to WWE and talk about current wrestlers that are currently getting that kind of treatment of they're doing the why first.
Yeah.
I think Bray Wyatt is now actually someone that they're looking at really highly.
Yeah.
I think the way that they're doing this whole Firefly Funhouse stuff, it isn't about the what. You can already tell it's not about the what. It's establishing.
It's about the what the fuck.
It's about what the
what the fuck. But
but they're establishing. They're establishing the why.
It's working.
Right? That's what they're doing with this whole like we're sitting here and we're asking why. Why is this happening? Why? Right?
Yeah.
And he's every single week some added complexity comes into it, right? This week apparently they killed the gimmick, the rabbit, whatever it was, right? And the buzzard killed it.
Mercy, yeah.
Someone's come out and just gone, buzzards only kill things that are already dead though. So then there's a complexity on that.
Attack things that are already
they only attack things that are already dead.
Yep.
So the rabbit was already dead.
Uh-huh.
They didn't talk about that at all. It's just
undead rabbit.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right? So so the question now is, we're asking why, and like we're digging deeper. If Bray didn't kill it, who killed the rabbit? Right? And it's that kind of story that it just seems to be overtaking this. Wait, hold on a second. Seth Rollins is the fucking Universal Champion.
Yeah.
Right? But we're talking about Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
Because they're establishing the why.
All right, well, okay. Right now, Kofi. I get pretty much every part of why he, like, who he is as a character and why he's doing it. The who, what, when, where, and why, I think is pretty much covered with Kofi. It's just that we are so used to him being not a main event guy.
Yeah, it's taking
us a little while.
Yeah.
I think he gets a really, really big pay-per-view win in a couple of weeks against Kevin Owens.
Yep, I agree with that.
That really starts to...
That's where you'd hope we look at that and go, all right, turning point. He's now main event in our eyes.
Yes.
And that's something that Jinder never had. That's something that, Alberto Del Rio never had, right?
No.
And you don't want it. You don't want to see it happen to Kofi. Right? So we're all sitting here going, we want it. We want this match at Money in the Bank to feel like at the end of watching it, we've gone, like, we're not shocked.
Yeah.
We're not shocked that Kofi just won that because he's meant to. Yeah. He's the WWE champion, right? He's meant to be able to beat the competition. Shock is him losing.
He's had 2 WWE Championship matches back-to-back this week on Raw and SmackDown. He's won both of them.
Yeah.
Even with, like, Kevin Owens interfered on SmackDown.
Yeah. He's won them. He's won them against big boys,
He's won them with his finisher the way he should win matches.
Yeah. So it seems the seeds are there, right? The seeds are there.
And they're starting to push it in the right direction.
Yeah. For Kofi, I have no worries. Oh, well, I do, obviously, but at the same time, the seeds seem to be there.
I'm very worried that WWE can just be like, yeah, we can just put him back in the tag scene once he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it to fucking Daniel Bryan this week.
Yeah, but I'm not against it.
I'm not against it either because it plays into the Shane character as well.
One, he had his rematch.
He did.
In a good match on fucking Raw.
Damn straight.
So it's like, okay, continuity-wise, you don't have another claim to the title.
No, he doesn't.
So if I'm the wrestler of Daniel Bryan, I guess, put yourself in the psychology and put himself in his head. It's like, all right, if I'm not competing for the WWE title, but there's now a vacant title sitting right there. I'm going to grab my lackey. I know we're goddamn brilliant, and let's just go fucking win that.
Yeah.
Because a title is a title. Or at least this is the psychology I look at, and I just go, fuck,
Yeah.
I'd rather have a title than not have a title, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. So I get the why of Daniel Bryan in that situation.
Dude, I've always got Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. So hopefully they expand on it, right? And it's not just like a...
Daniel Bryan's why is so fucking simple. It's like, this is his life.
Yeah.
That's it. And like, you could tell when he wasn't wrestling and being the GM, all he wanted to do was get back in the ring. Every part of his being is just, I want to be in the ring doing this.
Daniel Bryan is the only one to have survived that 2010 trash.
And he was the one that was fired first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Came back.
And like, roundabout point, coming back to Confliction's
yes,
article.
please,
here,
let's continue.
We'll just end with that. He notes that Daniel Bryan is also, he's just he's the outlier in the sense because,
he is.
Whilst he won at WrestleMania 30, which was 2013?
2014.
2014. Think of what the last two before that were. 5-second match against Sheamus or something, and then another world title match? Or the IC Championship ladder match?
That was after he came back.
Oh, okay.
That was 31. So 28 was the Sheamus match. 29 was Daniel Bryan on the card. I don't remember.
No idea. But what we have written here is that whilst he got that WrestleMania 30 win, which was nuts, right?
He did.
Think about what happened around it, right? So the only person he beat clean in that span of winning that was John Cena, right?
Yeah.
He gets shit on for about 6 months. He doesn't enter the Rumble in that era of Batista, right?
Loses to Bray.
Right? These are all the things like leading up to it, right? Everyone likes to pretend like the main event that was at WrestleMania 30 was the plan, but really it wasn't.
No,
really it wasn't.
To be Batista v. Randy in a one-on-one.
A ton of variables had to go in their favor. Not even, actually, wrong use of words. A ton of variables had to go in Daniel Bryan's favor.
CM Punk quitting,
right? The huge backlash that they wasn't expecting when Batista was in that Rumble, right? And then even then, they threw him into a feud with Triple H.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, okay, but that's not what we're really asking for here.
Nope.
So everything leading up to that, it's like, okay, you were still shitting on this guy, and we had to really fucking try to get him over.
Yeah.
And he's the only one to have survived that era. Because he is now in the position, 5-6 years later, where he is the veteran, right?
Yep.
And we are now hoping someone like Daniel Bryan, who was shit on 6 years ago, isn't going to fall into the same regard of, now I'm going to shit on the next crop that comes my way. No. Because I was shat on, right? No. You have to fight like I fought.
He's going to be the guy that wants to lift everybody up.
Yeah, and that's what you hope for a guy.
And like the second they got backstage after that WWE title match, Daniel would have just been like, "Fuck yeah, that was great."
Yeah,
because he's that kind of guy. He wants the business to be in a better place when he leaves it than when he entered it. Because he wants this to be around forever. Because this is it's his legacy, essentially, is pro wrestling. And that's what he wants to leave. And I think he's the guy that you really need to support backstage. And I'm glad WWE has. And they, kept him around the company and that. And I think, like, of all the people you would think, say back in 2010, when you look at that list and go, who's not only going to be the one that is still in the company 9 years later. Time,
so we got Bray, Punk, Ryder, the Nexus Boys, Rusev, and Dean Ambrose in that era.
Yeah.
Where were the ones that we look at now, knowing what they are now. Dean Ambrose obviously had the success-ish. But you look at what he was in that, like, post... what are we talking, like 2012-ish? When did Shield break up? 14?
Dude, Shield debuted in 14.
Shield debuted in 14.
Oh, wait, sorry, no. No, they debuted in 12. They broke up in 20...
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, might have been. They might have broke up in 2014 because they had a triple threat match at Mania that same year. Daniel Bryan won. They had 2 follow-up matches with Evolution the following. So they debuted in 2012, broke up in 2014.
Yeah, it wasn't a big run. Well, what he has written here is Dean Ambrose.
It was an impactful run, though.
Like, you look at after he split from the Shield, moved on to a feud with, obviously, Seth, but then following that was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't even have shit with Brock Lesnar. So you're looking at that going, Brock Lesnar, veteran of the industry. You have this guy here, right, who we know, so very talented, just came out of the Shield, big star potential, couldn't even get a single win over Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar would not lay down.
No.
And they had that big Mania match that were like, all right, this is going to be fucking intense, right? It was like no DQ or something like that. Pretty high.
It was
high profile.
It was a hardcore match.
Hardcore match. Pretty high profile. What do they use? One chair?
Got suplex onto some chairs.
Yeah.
He spent the entire weeks leading up to that going to all the hardcore legends and grabbing their weapons of choice and then never using any of them. I was so hyped for that match. Like going into that, that would have been what, WrestleMania 31? Yeah, 31.
Yeah.
I was so hype. I was beyond hype.
Yeah. No, Dean managed to obviously rebound well after that, right? But that not the same can't be said for the others. Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan for the longest period of time.
They gave him the belt. They gave him the belt and then gave it back to Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Ah!
Shinsuke is the most recent example.
Oh my god.
Shinsuke is also another recent example.
Shinsuke Nakamura,
a star from NXT,
should have been
New Japan.
Should have been the Universal Champion after knocking out Brock Lesnar under a minute. That's who Shinsuke Nakamura should be. He should be the Japanese Brock Lesnar, but better.
Yep.
Because he's fucking...
He should have beaten Jinder at SummerSlam.
He has.
Right?
Coming from you, that is a big call.
I know.
Because you love the Jinder.
I know. No, I did. But what I'm getting at is now that we know where the landscape of the WWE today, that point right there, right, is where you could have made a star out of Shinsuke Nakamura with just a simple title win. And this is, and more to my point of what I said probably a year ago at this point is whoever beats Jinder, the guy is carrying immense heat, right?
Yeah.
You hate him with the belt. You hate him with it. So whoever beats him is going to get the residuals of that. Right? Not heat, but like just the fact that you've beaten this guy, whether you beat him in a fucking squash or you beat him in a 20-minute brilliant classic, the fact that you've taken this belt off this guy is eyes on you.
Yeah.
Right? Who
AJ beat him.
AJ didn't need it.
On a SmackDown in London.
Yeah. WWE failed to see what they had in Jinder there. Not as a star, but as the star maker.
Yeah.
Right? As a star maker.
The fact that Shinsuke Nakamura lost a match to the guy who used to be in 3MB.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah.
No matter what he looks like. And I know, like, I could say the same for Drew, but Drew has changed.
Yeah.
Like, he's a different animal.
Very.
Jinder is just, to me, he looks like the guy from 3MB.
Jinder's bigger, but character-wise, it isn't that much of an expansive
It's really
change.
not. It's really not.
Right? He's just now another angry, pissed-off guy.
Yeah.
Right?
But they're doing the
it's
same.
one-dimensional.
They're doing the same thing to Drew. But I mean, honestly, both of them should be doing the same kind of character beats.
They really, really should.
Like the jaded, like I've come back to fuck this industry, like fuck this company up because they fucked me over.
Yeah.
I should be here tearing shit down, like tearing the fucking backstage apart every week, like just going nuts on it. Like that should be who these guys are.
Rusev losing to John Cena at WrestleMania 31.
That I get
is a star-making moment.
I get it.
Didn't happen. Now we look at Rusev today.
He came out on a tank.
He came out on a fucking tank.
It was so badass.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. And then they just were like, no. Cena gets the belt back.
Brock Lesnar, and this is an interesting one. I really put over confliction for this. Brock Lesnar obviously beat the streak, didn't lose for a long period of time after that.
Nope.
Hugest run. He is a star maker at that point.
He is.
His next loss was Goldberg.
Yeah.
Didn't need it.
Nope.
Goldberg didn't need it.
The moment.
And then who beats Goldberg after that? Brock.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, you have a star maker. And that was what always Brock was going to be, right? Up until, this is what I'm saying. Like, I argue there was a bit of politicking backstage with Paul Goldberg at that time to be
possibly,
like,
yes.
Yeah. But I think the initial plan in having Brock beat Taker, which was a good decision, was the long-term plan, which I'm choosing to believe had existed, of whether it's a year or 2 years from now, whoever beats Brock is the star going forward.
Well, I mean, look at it. That was their original plan.
Yeah.
At 30, he beats Taker. SummerSlam, wins the belt. Lead up to Mania, who are they pushing? Roman Reigns.
Yep.
That was always the plan.
Yep.
Push for Reigns didn't go to plan.
Yep.
What do? They throw Seth in. And
now, I guess we can argue
at the time,
that the narrative seems to have come to its end, that it has worked in a way, but it's 3-4 years of convoluted mess that didn't necessarily need to happen.
I really don't want to say what I'm about to say.
Go on.
Did with the whole Roman thing.
What
got him over more? Beating Brock at SummerSlam last year or leukemia?
It's leukemia, but
Yeah.
it's leukemia, unfortunately. But what I'm getting at is,
I hate myself.
I respect it.
No, look, I mean, but like that is.
Look, Roman kicked out at 2. We can make some jokes now, all right?
Yeah, I know. Look,
Right.
it is just a weird thing that like they tried everything they could to get this guy over and to make him the face of the company. And who would have thought that when the guy actually legitimately gets sick and then beats it like an absolute monster, like 4 months to put leukemia back in remission is a huge effort.
Huge.
Like fucking good on him.
Huge.
And now the crowd is like, no, well, like we saw you as a person for a moment in time. We stopped looking at you as a character and we saw you as a person, and that is...
Look, and the best thing they've done since then is they haven't thrown him back into the spotlight right away. So
No,
they
haven't.
know. They know.
Right?
They know. They're doing well. But what I was going to get at was this story was Seth's always to begin with, starting from Mania 31, right?
Yeah.
It's now come to its end after beating Brock at Mania.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, that's...
So we argue now, I guess an argument can be made that what we did with Brock to beat Taker, and then the 3 years of wasted losing to Goldberg, then picking it up, and then the feud with Roman, then having to pick it up again because Roman went sick, has now come to its end. Seth was the one to always topple the king, the beast, right?
Kind of wish he'd done it clean.
Kind of wish he'd done it cleaner, kind of wish he'd done it sooner, right?
Yeah,
But what I'm getting at is fair. Took more time than usual, but fair. Because now we're actually going to be looking at Seth in a couple of years from now going, you're the one now who has to put up the next star.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's the kind of guy. He's not Brock. He's the kind of guy that's going to be like, yeah, who am I putting over? Like, who's the next guy I get to elevate? He's another guy. He's like Daniel. He's always going to want to leave the company in a better place than where he found it. Which you need guys like, as much as WWE doesn't seem to be pushing them or like doing stuff with them that makes them the next dog, that next Stone Cold, that next Rock. At least you have guys in the company that have a mind for the business, who have been elsewhere, who understand what it takes to make a successful company, what it takes to get a really, really good roster together and have people that can put on not only great matches but tell great stories. It's kind of the advantage to having a lot of indie guys in the company right now, is that no matter what the company does, these guys are still going to want to do everything they can to make that place better. And that's kind of what I feel like NXT is, man. Like NXT is just these guys doing what they would do on the indies, but with a steady paycheck and somewhere to go train and, develop, I guess. And it fucking shows. Honestly, it shows because like the stories they put on are better. The matches they put on are better. Like you couldn't tell that Gargano Ciampa story on Raw. It just wouldn't work. There's no way, that Vince would have the patience for that. It's like, why haven't they fought again? Well, it's because it's not the time for them to fight. You got to wait. You got to put all the fucking seeds in place, and then let it just run its course. And my God, they had an insane series of matches. It kind of sucks that it's ended the way it has with Ciampa being injured, but
like I like the conclusion. Like it's unfortunate, but it was concluded. For now, concluded. Yeah, it's the end of their second phase.
You can easily just put a pin in that and just be like, we'll come back to that. Hopefully Ciampa is okay. They reckon he's going to be out for a year, which makes me so sad. Did you watch that documentary with him and his kid and wife?
No.
They put it up, I think it was on WWE PC, which, have you subscribed to that?
No, but I hear it's really good.
Dude, it is so good.
I know, I hear, it's a crime that I'm not subscribed because I really want to.
It is
But I hear it's
good.
so lit. Because it's the behind the scenes that we've always wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
it's them, for the most part, just out of character.
Yeah.
It's just them, like who they are as people. And it's so fucking good because all the people in NXT right now are so motivated and so like just ready to do everything for the company. It's fucking nuts, man. Like the stuff they did backstage, like at Rumble, where you had like all the people from NXT, like they did a video of them being told they were going to NXT, and like they brought them all into a room, and it's like Matt Bloom, and then I forget the female trainer's name, the head female trainer there, can't remember. But anyway, it's like it was Matt Bloom and her sitting in the office, and they brought like the female wrestlers in one at a time, and Bloom's just there like, do you know why you're here today? And like in that like you could be in trouble kind of tone of voice, and like all of them are just like, oh, I don't know, I got no idea, what did I do? And then he's like, you're going to be in the Rumble, and just like the look on their face is just like, holy shit, this is going to be amazing. And then they do like backstage at the Rumble of them like right before and then after they've come back from the ring. It's so good, man.
Was that the one where Peyton, Billy, Kyrie, like a couple of years ago?
No. Like
this
year's Rumble.
Because that was
this year's Rumble.
moment.
Like because you got.
I was thinking Mania actually.
Candice LeRae, Casey Catanzaro, May
Kofi, dude.
May Yim or whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah.
But like that's the one. I think you must have seen the Rhea Ripley gif of like Casey Catanzaro and Ricochet hugging. And then Rhea Ripley just leaning into frame and just like going, bleh.
Yeah.
That's what that's from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, dude, WWE PC, it's good. But anyway, there was a thing with like
it's
Ciampa and his wife, and they've got a kid. I had no idea Ciampa had a kid.
I didn't even know he was married, honestly.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But like he's got a kid, like he's the thing, the difference between him and Ciampa is Ciampa like puts his entire life out there. Gargano puts his entire life out there in the ring, has his wife there in the company, whereas Ciampa's just like, just me.
Well, I think this isn't actually...
It's a lot harder to hate him when you're like, oh, he's got a kid who had like health troubles when she was really young, and then a wife, and then now he's going through health troubles and shit, and she's got to be there for him, and all that sort of shit.
Well, and it actually leads into an interesting discussion because that, and just based on what you just said, and like the enthusiasm, obviously, where you said it, that it seems that's the way the industry is right now, right? So the idea of like when it comes to characters, when it comes to wrestling as a whole, we want to know about them personally. Right, and you're saying that's one way to gravitate and to follow a wrestler.
In some cases, yes.
Now, you juxtapose that against how it was booked in the 90s, where the industry was so secret. You did not know who the fuck Stone Cold was in real life. You just assumed who he was on camera was who he was. Because who he was on camera was...
We weren't wrong.
Fair enough, right? But what I'm getting at is...
He's pretty close to who he was.
Yeah, which is a good thing, though, because it's like the character that they managed to make Stone Cold as, right, on screen, wasn't so far-fetched where we weren't believing that that's who he was personally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Mankind, Undertaker, Kane, these guys existed and were so over... I didn't want to know about who the fuck Kane was behind the scenes because I'm so interested in who Kane is now. But who Kane was then.
Glenn Jacobs,
But what we're looking at today, and it just seems like the only people, or the only two, that are protected from what they appear to be on screen to how they are showcased, is Finn Balor when it comes to the Demon. The Demon's not going to do a shoot interview where he's just Finn. And it's Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And it's Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Undertaker is now out of character for the most part when he does interviews. Right?
Yeah, especially like when WWE allows him to do interviews.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Inside the Ropes debacle?
No.
He got booked. So Kenny McIntosh, people would know him from What Culture back when all the boys, the Cultaholic boys, were still at What Culture. He did stuff with them, but he was never a full-time employee of What Culture. He was just like a guy that would come in to do video content. But he runs Inside the Ropes, which is one of the best shoot interview companies in the world. Runs it out of England. He's had Heyman, he's had DDP, he's had Edge, he's had Mick Foley, like he's had all these huge names. I think he actually got Bret Hart as well. But he got Taker. And it was this huge deal. Tickets sold out instantly. And then about a month ago, WWE were like, nah, not doing it. Told him he couldn't do the interview. And all these people have bought tickets.
Yeah, actually, no, I had heard about that.
To see Taker
Yeah.
do a fucking shoot interview, which he really, really hasn't done like a long. Because this is like a long form, like 2 hour discussion plus Q&A.
Yeah.
So it's like, Heyman's is unreal.
I actually might need to sit down and watch some of these then.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Heyman's is like Heyman talks about the opposite to like what Dean was saying about Brock.
Yeah, and actually, no, I have seen snippets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So WWE were like, nope, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And they told him he couldn't go to StarCast either.
Yeah.
Told Angle he couldn't go to StarCast. So they're really not happy. Even though StarCast has nothing to do with AEW.
I know, we've discussed it before.
They just happen to be friends and they run the same things at the same time. Anyway, but it's a weird thing with like I like seeing who these people are behind the scenes, but at the same time, if we didn't have that, I wouldn't be feeling like I'm lacking anything. It's just a nice bonus.
Yeah,
sometimes. But for the most part, I can separate what I see on something like WWE PC compared to like NXT or WWE television, because you need to give in to the fantasy of it all sometimes to
but that's what I'm
appreciate
saying. it. I argue that you're kind of the exception, right? As the smart, like as a smart, right? You're sitting there going, I can look at their personal lives and watch WWE PC, right?
Yeah.
And then also at the same time be able to separate that from, what if they were really gimmicky, right?
Yeah.
On their television screen. What I'm trying to say is that because we are now living in this era where that seems to come first, the idea of promoting who they are personally.
Yeah,
right?
A little bit.
It does seem, and this is not me, making a case in favor of WWE and where it stands now, but it just seems the way that they're handling that with the idea of pushing their personal lives first before who they are as a wrestler, why within gimmick, which seems to try and subsequently follow, it takes away from that. Because if I know who that person is really, right, who they really are, and then I come out next week on television and he's a fucking cunt, and his why that they've established is, something so far-fetched from who he is personally, unless he is the exception to the rule, or she is the exception to the rule of being a brilliant actor, actress, right, then it just doesn't work. It won't be so long-term standing. Right? Because we're always going to come back and be like, I'm not really immersed because I know that motherfucker has a kid and he's like the cutest dad in the world. Yeah. Right?
It is like you've got to be able to, but then it's the same
hearing
thing
this about Ciampa now.
But it's the same.
I'm not saying that's not how I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
But what I can foresee, whether correctly or not, is those who are now going to gravitate or who start their knowledge of Ciampa with that WWE PC video and going, oh, he's such a good guy. Like his best friend's with Gargano, like in Shoot Reality.
Yeah, and then you go back 6 months to NXT TV where he's beating up Gargano with a crutch.
Yeah. And then going forward, if he comes back and he's just like, no, I hate you again. And he gives a good reason why, right? And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen because I think Ciampa's a brilliant performer, right? So he can sell his why better than others, right?
Hell yeah.
But what I'm getting at is, if it was anyone else like that, it wouldn't be that way, right?
No.
Because you're starting with the personal aspect in this industry where it is fantasy.
But I think we're in a unique position where when we started watching wrestling, Twitter didn't exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So so many variables at play. Why the 90s were better than because we didn't have social media that Twitter, every single day.
Nothing
where we could interact with these people. We didn't have interaction with the wrestlers of the 90s aside from seeing them at airports or at the venues.
Yeah.
Right. They went home.
Yeah.
Right. But we just assumed, that their story continues for some reason. We're just meant to piece it in. Like for the week they do something.
They still did heel bus, face bus.
Yeah. Right.
Which I think they still do.
Like obviously,
just out of habit.
Yeah. But obviously in real life, we know for a fact that they must go home and eat, sleep, and then have lives. But we didn't really think it then because we weren't exposed to Twitter, social media, Instagram, where we see them do things that cement our logic. Right, because now our logic is cemented.
Seth Rollins, Beast Slayer, King Slayer,
coffee shop owner.
Yeah,
does CrossFit on the weekends.
Just about to say
Becky Lynch and Cesaro.
Yeah,
right. Fucking
does a lot of things on the
Daniel Bryan is this piece of shit vegan heel that hates everyone. But Birdie's on his Instagram, so is his wife Brie. Right?
He's always smiling on his Instagram. He never smiles
so
in the ring,
happy.
but he's always
goddamn
so fucking
best.
happy.
Like I love
with
him.
his hot wife and his kid.
God,
you motherfucker.
That's what I'm getting at, right?
It is weird though, man. Like I think that was where I was like,
and this is why
with the
I put over Bray Wyatt because his socials don't exist, to that degree.
Dude, actually, do you know who's better than Bray Wyatt at it? Luke Harper.
Yeah, no, you're right, but Luke just doesn't have that status of Bray.
I know.
Yeah, but you're right.
Harper was the king of fucking even Dean.
It's Tuesday.
Dean,
you know what that means.
Dean never used his verified Twitter account with WWE until he quit, changed it to John Moxley, and then posted that fucking video.
Yeah, brilliant.
See, that's another one. I wonder what Dean is like outside of WWE.
Yeah, but that's a good thing to wonder.
I know.
That's what we want
the
to
only
wonder.
thing I've really seen
Why
of him,
is Brock so over? No, obviously you can make so many cases of like UFC, blah, blah, blah,
comes in, fucks people up and leaves.
You don't fucking know Brock.
No.
It's why kayfabe exists
no.
for him. Because you don't fucking know him.
No.
You don't know what he's like personally. You don't know how he negotiates contracts, yada, yada, yada. But I know Seth Rollins, or I know, quote-unquote, Seth Rollins. I know he's a nice guy.
Dude.
I know he owns a coffee shop, so I know he has some business acumen. I've seen him interact with fans. I've seen him interact with his co-workers.
Yeah.
He does all these things up, down, where that veil of Seth Rollins is broken to a point where it's just like, I understand.
Hey, it's Colby.
It's Colby,
yeah.
right? But with Brock, I'm still amazed because there's things I don't know.
No.
Whereas with Seth, it's like, I know.
I keep saying, man.
And what I know is not great, right, in terms of wrestling. What I want to be watching week in and week out, right? What I want to know. I want to be, that idea of, I'm losing the fucking word here, but you want to be surprised and shocked.
Well, dude, the thing that I want more than anything in this life right now is to be a fly on the wall when Brock is putting a match together backstage.
Yes. You said it before.
How much input does he put in? Is he excited? Is he keen? Is he
even there?
Does he throw out spots, or does he just let someone else talk for him? Like, what happens? Is Paul Heyman there? Is Paul Heyman talking? He's like,
we're all talking about how Undertaker sold out a building for fucking 2 hours.
I need to know.
I would give so much money to watch a shoot Brock shoot Brock for hours. Literally only talk about him and wrestling, not UFC, not what he does on his land. Just talk about how you think about wrestling.
Even that Stone Cold interview wasn't that in depth.
Yeah,
it was surface level stuff, but a lot of the time it devolved into just them talking to each other because they're friends.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, you should come up to Wisconsin and hunt with me or something, whatever the fuck he talks about. Killing animals. Yeah, that's something him and Stone Cold have in common. But yeah, like...
What's your business psychology, Brock? That's what I want.
Like, that's, what goes on. But one of the things I was going to say with the... I'm pointing your watch, fair enough. Just with the article. Something he didn't bring up, which I thought was interesting, was... The other thing is just, it's changed how we consume media.
Yeah.
So, you can look at the ratings and be like, 2.6, that's shit house. But then you go over YouTube, and you've got between 500,000 to sometimes 9 to 10 million on the highlights packages, or like the match, like each segment.
Interestingly, WWE has come out and said that they're actually going to stop doing so much YouTube content in order
to drive people back to the product.
Yeah, to drive the ratings back up, because they do believe, while stars is lacking is one of their problems, it's the idea of we're giving away too much for people to be not so incentivized to watch it on TV at the time.
I think the way that NXT does stuff is better, because on the NXT highlight packages, you never see the pinfall. You see like 3 minutes from the middle of the match. It builds to a spot, and then it cuts. And it's like, fuck, I need to go to the network and watch the end of this match. But on WWE,
well, I'd actually like to know their network statistics.
They put
better
up the
than
pinfall
their
stuff.
Television statistics.
Until we get to a point where...
Because that would only work for the network. Because
literally the next day, when that episode of Raw SmackDown goes up on the network, because it goes up like 3 weeks late.
Yeah.
Which is really frustrating to someone who lives in Australia, who can't always get access to Raw and SmackDown, especially when I got work in the morning or
we've discussed this before, fucking many podcasts ago, the idea of like, when does the network become its final form? Right, which I can only imagine is what sat in Vince's head, where it's just like, we don't need television deals
after TV
anymore.
Doesn't become a thing. But that's until 3.6 million people are paying for the network every month.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
you turn that.
What are they seeing that now? Like
that are watching every single
1.8?
week. Yeah,
so half that.
Yeah,
you need to double that
before they go.
We
don't need Fox.
Maybe we don't need TV.
We don't need USA.
But even in that case, like, you do the math, that's still only a fraction of what they make from TV deals.
Yeah.
Those TV deals are so fucking lucrative.
But you can't not think that maybe at some point they've sat back and gone, we're going to build this network up in the shadows of television.
Yeah.
But the idea being eventually that, I guess we're going to know TV.
But there is obviously still value in TV, because why would AEW go to all this effort to get their product on TV instead of just being like, hey, we
serve a farm and then do a network. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we could just like do a New Japan World ourselves and just put up all our matches.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But they're pushing for TV, because TV still, to this day, and you're right, it's not going to be around forever, but TV still translates to legitimacy. Until a certain point. But for the most part, look at Impact. I think Impact is still on a network in America, but
most of their stuff comes from Twitch.
They push the Twitch. They push the Twitch so hard.
There are alternatives, right? But
there are alternatives.
We look at WWE as the giant, right? It's like for them, it's not good enough to just do Twitch.
No, it's not good enough just to do the network.
Yeah, it's not good enough just to do the network. So television,
and now they're like, we're not only on one major US network, we're now on two. We're on Fox and USA.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So but that's the thing too, because and it is interesting because we get WWE here live in Australia on our pay-per-view or paid subscription TV service, but those views aren't getting counted with that. That's just the USA Network views. Doesn't include Hulu. They put cut up on Hulu the day after, and that would get views. All the YouTube stuff would get views. People who DVR it get views. So that 2.6, you can probably add a good $500,000 to that every week of people who don't watch it live, who have to work or have some other thing in their way where they can't watch it live and then will watch it back later. I'm the same. If I miss an episode, I need to find some way to watch it because I can't watch it live, or I'll just watch all the highlights on YouTube. So I don't think it's dire straits right now for WWE.
Oh, yeah, and I don't even think that they truly believe it's dire straits.
I don't think they do either,
Because
but
they
like
know-
their advertisers are starting to look at it and go, well...
Oh, yeah, they're looking at it, obviously, right?
And then
'Cause they'll
WWE,
grapple-
and then WWE is like, well, we need bargaining chips essentially when we negotiate TV deals. We need to be like, hey, we have this many viewers live every week,
Yeah.
but that's not always going to be the case.
But I just don't think it's so dire as anyone's making it out to be.
No,
2.6 is still nothing to not be scoffed
I think
at.
if this was a situation last year where they weren't going into a new TV deal with Fox in 4 months' time,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be stressing as much as they are.
Yeah.
But right now they're like, we're going over to Fox, huge network, big viewer base, and in America, Fox has no paywall.
Yeah.
USA does. It's the basics cable package.
Yeah.
But like Fox has access to a much wider reach than the USA network is. So it's
So their numbers are gonna. They know their numbers are gonna be fine come October.
yes. But in the meantime, they've got to build up.
Oh yeah, agreed,
to that
agreed.
point
But that's
and
what I'm
be
saying.
like, we
not
need-
dire.
It's not.
We're not looking at it and going, well, fuck. If their stocks go so far, they have to liquidate. That's not what we're sitting at.
No.
But that just seems to be where the consensus of the IWC sits at the moment. Where it's
I
just
think the other thing too is I know the stock dropped in that, but like Vince has been selling off his stock, and that's going to like
yeah.
cause people who don't know about XFL to be like, oh, Vince is selling, I'm going to sell too. I think there might be some of that in it, but yeah, Vince is selling off a lot of stock. But XFL got a TV deal.
Yeah, no, I'm hyped for 2020, dude.
ESPN, they're sharing it between.
I saw the announcement.
They're sharing it between like 3 networks.
And
but
they showed who's the days playing and all that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's pretty sick. I like it.
Dude,
I'm actually keen.
ESPN in the States doesn't even get NFL, but they've got XFL.
I'm hype. I'm genuinely hype.
NBC was another one. NBC, ESPN, and some other channel got like sharing rights for XFL. Dude, I'm keen. I'm keen to sell.
I'm genuinely keen.
I hope it gets broadcast in Australia. I really do.
I'm just keen to see when they start announcing the players.
Yeah.
And how they're going to go about getting players.
Yeah.
So are they going to be pulling from the same colleges that the NFL
I
is?
100% would assume so.
I would assume so as well.
They want the best guys that don't get drafted.
Yeah.
That guy who's going to go to... You get drafted to the Cardinals or to the Broncos, but you're going to be third string. Or you could go to whatever one of the XFL teams be first string quarterback every week.
Yeah.
What you going to do? I think he's going to go be first string.
Agreed.
Because at the moment, they're going to have a lot of money initially. And that money will dwindle.
No shit.
And it will last. I give it 3 years.
Part of me thinks it actually works this time.
Really?
Yeah, part of me thinks it works this time.
We'll see.
I think
they're real smart. Like they literally start the season like 2 weeks after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like they're not fucking around. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I'm so fucking.
But hey, look, if this maybe takes some of that control away from Vince, and we get some other stuff coming in, it'd be good. Anyway, that was a discussion.
Yeah. I liked it. Good episode. We're back. 101.
Woo, 101.
Here's to the next 100.
Yeah, boy. Hopefully Michael's here next week.
No, he's fine.
Okay. Just keep doing run sheets for us, and we won't pay you. Cheers. Anyway, you can find us everywhere at Straymania, at STRAYAMANIA, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Instagram and Twitter are Straymania Pod, and Twitter, Instagram? Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Straymania Pod. Facebook and YouTube are Straymania Podcast. Follow me everywhere at Ricki Needs at RICKINEEDS. I'm back on the socials, baby.
Welcome back, buddy.
It's good to be back, kind of.
_ the Halfcast Prince on Instagram. Let's leave it.
Check out his stories. They are fire, but he never posts to his feed, which is really annoying.
I'm not a feed guy.
I know you're not a feed guy. You're a stories guy, which I'm just use Snapchat, bitch. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the week in wrestling. And next week, when's Money in the Bank? 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
All right, so there will be a prediction video.
Same day as Game of Thrones.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to watch Game of Thrones on delay.
I'm just going to watch Money in the Bank on delay.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Anyway, there we go.
All right, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the week in wrestling. Bye.
You are listening to a Heartifact Network podcast. Find us at heartifactstudios.com.au.